All right, it's time for Good Vibes. Another week, Debbie Cox DeNova is with us. We are so excited. All right, you ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
I love your topic today.
Thank you.
Breaking unhealthy relationship patterns.
Yes.
Everybody listen. Debbie, you got the floor.
The relationship patterns. We all have these tendencies or these ways of relating to each other, attachments, if you will. And we attach to parents, we attach to kids, our friends, family. We attach to people in specific ways. So sometimes if you feel like you keep on regenerating the same kind of relationship over and over again, that might actually be as a result of your attachment style. And attachment style theory comes from an English psychologist named John Bowlby. And we can best kind of, first of all, find out which attachment style you are in by taking what is called one of the greatest questionnaires in 20th century psychology that was published in Rocky Mountain News by Philip Shaver and Cindy Hazan. So right now at home, go ahead and listen to these questions and then ask yourself which one applies most to you. So which of these statements most
So
closely...
they're listening at home, and I'm taking the test right here.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And it's just 3 questions, and you're going to see which one resembles you the most closely in love. Okay. So the first one, I find it relatively easy to get close to others, and I'm comfortable depending on them and having them depend on me. I don't worry about being abandoned or about someone getting too close to me. That's A.
Okay.
B, I find that others are reluctant to get as close as I would like. I often worry that my partner doesn't really love me or won't want to stay with me. I want to get very close to my partner, and this sometimes scares people away. And then C, I am somewhat uncomfortable being close to others. I find it difficult to trust them completely, difficult to allow myself to depend on them. I'm nervous when anyone gets too close, and often others want me to get more intimate than I'm comfortable with. Okay.
Well, that's 3 tough questions.
That's 3 tough
Is there any
questions.
middle ground in there?
There is.
Okay.
There is, but there are 3 main styles of attachment. And so we'll talk about the 3 main ones, and then there's a 4th one that has you kind of going back and forth. And what this goes back to is what we talked about last time, where humans are always trying to reconcile their need between being close and also pulling away and being independent, right? So we have this desire to be intimate with people, and then we have a desire to go out and explore and be independent, right? And if you were raised in a family where you were allowed to do both comfortably, there was always a safe ground for you to come back to. You always knew you'd get cuddles. You'd always have a place to be accepted and loved. And also you were free to go out and roam. In all likelihood, you fall into the secure attachment style. So that's the first one, all right? In secure attachment, you easily become intimate with other people. You feel like you can rely on people. You feel like you're safe to depend on them. You are safe to love them. You don't question whether or not you love them more. There isn't any neediness. It's a healthy attachment style. Now, I'll say all of this is that, these are self-reported statistics. So I have a doubt about them simply because I know how people are sometimes in terms of...
Nobody's going to tell the complete truth.
Right. So I'm inviting you at home to be super honest with yourself, because if you fall into an unhealthy attachment style, the first step is awareness and honesty with yourself, because you are not doomed to that attachment style. There are things that you can do to move to a healthier attachment style, but that's only possible if you're honest with yourself. So if you're not being honest with yourself, then you're basically stuck, okay? So the first one is secure attachment style. The second one is anxious. Now, an anxious attached person will long for intimacy. They really, really long for it, but oftentimes, because they're so needy, because they're so smothering, people will often push away, right? So they have this idealized view of love, that someone's going to rescue them or complete them, right? And so they will oftentimes, just be very, very anxious about whether or not the person is actually as in love. Are they going to leave me? Do they like me as much as I like them? That sort of thing, okay? That's anxious attachment. Then there is the avoidant attachment, okay? So avoidant attachments tend to value independence. They like to be on their own. They tend to be more emotionally closed off. They are reluctant to depend on someone. They oftentimes get very uncomfortable with intimacy unless it's with strangers. Cuddles and kissing actually makes them a little bit uncomfortable. And then in the third attachment style, it's sort of a blend. Okay. So it's kind of an ambivalent mindset, right?
Okay.
So this is called the fearful attachment style, or it's also called disorganized or disoriented attachment style. In this style, you kind of go back and forth between smothering and overanalyzing your relationship and then just disappearing and pushing off, right?
Yeah.
So you're going back and forth between this, and oftentimes these people are moody. Only about 5% of the population falls into or identifies with the fearful attachment style. And the first one is 55%. Anxious attachment is about 20% of the population. Avoidant attachment is another 20%.
So wait, anxious attachment is how much?
Anxious is 20%,
Okay.
and avoidant is also 20%.
All right.
And then fearful attachment is 5%.
Okay.
And then the majority, about half though, but 55% of the population identifies with secure attachment.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to give you some ways that you can start to move toward what we call earned secure attachment. So you can actually develop yourself as more secure in relationships. Again, if you're honest with yourself and you're evaluative and you understand in relationships how to choose the right partner, first of all, but if you already found yourself in an unhealthy dynamic, how to adjust yourself so that you become more secure in relationships. Yes. Okay.
Where do we go from here on this topic?
Okay.
This is a doozy.
It is a doozy. And again, I just want to remind everyone that you're not doomed if you find yourself in an unhealthy attachment style, but just pay attention and really be honest with yourself about the patterns that you've experienced in relationship. Because here's the bad news for those who fall outside of the healthiest category, avoidant and anxious, right? Those two main styles have a higher propensity to choose partners from the other damaged side. So you can imagine an anxious and an avoidant, someone who's hyper independent and wants to go this way, right? And an anxious one who wants reassurance all the time about the relationship.
Why do people do that?
Oh, it's because they're trying to meet this need, right? They're trying to play out and basically they're trying to heal, right? And so, oftentimes they'll pattern their relationships off of their original relationship with their the opposite sex parent, right? And this goes back to, again, making sure that at home you're providing security and you're providing a feeling of
So they could be
unconditional
playing
love.
off of their mothers, the way their mother raised them or whatever.
That's what it is. Yes, exactly. So providing unconditional love to your children and also allowing them the freedom to explore is really important. But if you're an adult and you find yourself here, it's no problem. So let's just say that you are at first an avoidant with an anxious. Okay. So you're somebody who's hyper independent and you chose somebody who tends to want reassurance and wants more love and wants more smothering, always needing your reassurance and wanting more intimacy. It's important to start to evaluate how you tend to close off emotionally, how it feels safer to do that than to get close and intimate with people. It's also important to note that in these relationships, what tends to happen is the anxious starts to get aggressive in their bid for love, right? So you have to understand that you read past the anger and understand that your partner is basically asking for more of you. They're asking for more love. And so if you can see it that way and actually do the uncomfortable thing of explaining why the cave is so important to you, how it feels safe, understanding and remembering that at some point in time in your life, being close to people felt like it was an unsafe thing to do because maybe they fell through for you or for some reason, but you're bringing those unhealthy dynamics into the present and it's ruining the relationship that you have right now. So understanding that the person coming at you with anger is really actually asking for more love from you, explaining why it feels more comfortable for you to be on your own, and then doing the uncomfortable thing and actually allowing the other person to have more reassurance, like extend reassurance to the person. If you happen to be an anxious person with an avoidant, it's also important to remember that sometimes silence is just silence. It doesn't necessarily mean anything personal about you. Sometimes people are pulling away because they just need to stabilize their nervous system, and that's more comfortable for them than being close, right? And so at the same time, you need to remember that there's nothing wrong with your want and your desire for closeness. It doesn't necessarily make you needy, but watch the way that you communicate your need, because oftentimes out of frustration, anxious people go into aggressive and angry ways of communication, which just exacerbates the defense mechanisms of the avoidant, right? If you come at them, they're definitely going to push further away, which just only makes it worse. So making sure that you ask for love with a little bit of distance, a little bit of respect, also come at it in a calm way and understand that this is basically just a damaged person's way of managing their nervous system.
So if the man wants to go fishing and the wife says, well, I want to go with, and he says, well, I really need a little time away.
Right.
What should she do?
understanding that that time away is actually something that he needs in order to feel regulated, and explaining how you need closeness, maybe a little later time, in order for you to feel good. It's important when you find yourself in either the anxious avoidant or the disorganized categories, that you make sure that you move away from relationships that are emotional roller coasters. If you're in constant breakups, you want to avoid the tumultuous stuff. You can have an earned secure attachment if you can create a touchstone, a base in your relationship, a safe place where you can heal. And so you can either choose a secure partner who's, a secure attached partner to help you retrain your nervous system, or you can be very honest with the partner that you're with about wanting to move toward more secure attachment and helping each other in that.
Retrain the nervous system.
Yes.
How do you do that?
You just basically provide, you provide experiences that are going to prove to your nervous system that you're safe to walk into different situations, right? So at some point in time when you were younger, if you went and moved in for love, but you were rejected or your parent was unavailable, then that can teach your nervous system that it's unsafe for you to ask for love, that it's not going to happen for you. So if you take yourself as an adult into situations where you ask for love and it's there for you, now you can retrain your nervous system that it's safe.
But doesn't everybody go through rejection at some point?
They do. It's just, it doesn't all the time result in trauma, right? So you need to, if you have trauma within yourself, and you'll know that because you'll have that triggered feeling, you just need to create these disconfirming experiences in your adult life to show yourself that these experiences are actually safe with other humans.
So own them.
With that.
Own them.
Own them, exactly.
own 'em.
Yes. But again, the first step of that is awareness, being super honest with yourself, and making sure that you create a touchstone, a base, a secure base in whatever relationship you're in where you can heal. If you're not in a relationship where you can heal, it might just be time to evaluate that. Have a direct conversation with the person that you're in, honest and direct. Or if you're, in the position to do so, then maybe it's not a healthy relationship dynamic for you to be in.
Wow, what a topic. What are we talking about next week?
Who knows?
We'll talk about it at the coffee shop.
We will.
What do you think's happening at the coffee shop right now?
I don't know. I think they're waiting for us.
They're looking forward to next week.
Yes.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.
All right, great topic. We'll see you again next week on Good Vibes. Sure, another great topic next week also. See you later.